Yes. Because in the end, remember, dreams, you spend 30% of your life dreaming. So whether you remember or not, subconsciously, you still enjoy it.
Change, okay? Get ready for that. You want me to take the glasses off or just put them down? Is that okay? Feels like it. Or do you want to take them right off? Where do you usually keep them? Oh, right here? Where the masking? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. In this case, Grandpa? That the outer mirrors the inner, and then the countenance expresses and reveals the whole essence of man, is a presupposition whose a priority and consequent certainty is manifested in the universal desire to see any man who has made himself prominent in any way, whether for good deeds or bad, or who has produced some extraordinary work, or, if this proves impossible, to learn from others what he looks like. Likewise, in everyday life, everyone inspects the face of anyone he meets, and silently tries to discover in advance, from his physiognomy, his moral and intellectual nature. None of this would be so, as some fools believe a man's appearance possessed no significance, and the body bore no closer relation to the soul than the coat does to the body. The contrary is the case. Every human face is a hieroglyphic which can be deciphered, indeed, whose key we bear ready-made within us. It is even true that a man's face, as a rule, says more, and more interesting things than his mouth, for it is a compendium of everything his mouth will ever say, and that it is the monogram of all this man's thoughts and aspirations. The mouth further expresses only the thoughts of a man, while the face expresses a thought of nature, so that everyone is worth looking at, even if everyone is not worth talking to. We all proceed on the basis of the unspoken rule that every man is as he looks. This is a correct rule. The difficulty lies in applying it. The capacity for doing so is in part inborn, in part to be gained through experience, but no one ever perfects it. Even the most practiced detect errors in themselves. Yet the face does not lie. It is we who read what is not written there. In any event, the deciphering of the face is a great and difficult art. Its principles can never be learned in abstracto. The first precondition for practicing it is that you must take a purely objective view of your man, which is not so easy to do. For as soon as the slightest trace of aversion or partiality or fear or hope, or even the thought of what impression we ourselves are making on him, in short, as soon as anything subjective is involved, the hieroglyphic becomes confused and corrupted. Just as we can hear the sound of a language only if we do not understand it, because otherwise what is signified at once suppresses consciousness of the sign which signifies it. So we can see the physiognomy of a man only if he is a stranger to us. Consequently, one can, strikingly speaking, receive a purely objective impression of a face, and thus have the possibility of deciphering it only at first sight. Let us not disassemble over the fact this first sight is usually extremely disagreeable. With the exception of the beautiful, good-natured, or intelligent faces, with the exception, that is, of a very few rare faces, I believe that every new face will usually arouse in a person of finer feeling a sensation akin to terror, since it presents the disagreeable in a new and surprising combination. As a rule, it is in truth a sorry sight. There are even some upon whose face there is imprinted such naive vulgarity and lowness of character, combined with such beast-like narrowness of mind, that one wonders why they go around with such a face and do not rather wear a mask. Indeed, there are faces at the mere sight of which one feels polluted. The metaphysical explanation of this fact would involve the consideration that the individuality of each man is precisely that of which, through his existence itself, he is to be cured. If, on the other hand, you are content with the psychological explanation, you should ask yourself what kind of physiognomy is to be expected of those in whom, in the course of a long life, there is very rarely arisen anything.